2026 Shamrock Marathon. This one's taking place on March 22nd this year. So before we dive into the details, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and if you are in the need of individual coaching insights or course breakdown specific for you to hit your PR, make sure you reach out down below. Contact info is there, along with pre-made plans and all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's dive into it. This is a typical race weekend. This is what you're going to get for the marathon. You're going to get big crowds usually. You can see from some of these quick videos, you can see that weather is going to play a big factor. Some of these years, you have people running shirtless, you got people running with sleeves, with jackets over here, and the wind is another huge factor out here. Looking at our map this year, this is the 2026 map. This is our start up here, and we are going to run northbound, right? And we're going to hang a left before running around the lighthouse and then further south, and then passing our finish line, and we are doing another out and back over here. So this is really a tale of two cities out here. And before we go any further, two main fueling stations for the goo, for our gel stops out here. First one is up over here right before the 6 mile marker. Second one is down all the way at the bottom over here right before the 18 mile marker. So if you plan on taking gels or anything else in between that, make sure you are bringing it yourself. The other stops along the course are going to have water and Gatorade along with it. So make sure if you want to fuel or supplement with something additional that's not specified here, make sure you are bringing it yourself or training with them, to help out with your PR successes out here. So this is what our course looks like from an aid station standpoint. Keep in mind we do have some of those goo stations marked with the fuel station or the aid station demarcation right here. But this course is notorious for a PR chasers out here. It's also very notorious for PR crashers out here. So the last 3 or 4 miles out here, a lot of athletes totally hit the wall and crater, and that's because of the first probably 5 or 6 miles, if we're being honest with each other. Think back to those big crowds that we had in the video right through here. It'll come back in a second. But because you're surrounded by a ton of people, a couple of things are happening. Chances are it's probably colder than you want it to be. You're a little bit shielded from the elements just because you're around everybody there, right? And you want to go fast and you're trying to set that PR, so naturally everyone gets in the same mindset, especially when you are running around like-minded times, like-minded athletes right there. So everyone just kind of slowly ramps it up, ramps it up, ramps it up, and before you know it, you've hit this 6 mile marker or right before it, and where you are going to experience the major hill on course out here. But again, it's 6 miles in, so a faster athlete is going to hit this in no time at all, right? And if you are over pacing at this point, you're going to hit it even faster. And this is often a big reality check for folks, but keep in mind this is going to happen at about 6.5 miles in. So if you are waiting for this little check to kind of check yourself, double check yourself, then it's going to be too late, right? So you need to have great restraint. This is where I highly encourage athletes, find some open road, see what your power is, see what your pace is, see what your heart rate is doing, and even cadence. Use all the data that you have and you've been training with, right? It's there for a reason. You've used it, so use it when you need it. All right. Don't get caught up in the shenanigans out there. You will probably find a ton of people later on in the race out here. Very, very common for athletes to start off very fast in these first 6.5 miles and then slowly get slower as the race progresses. Because our tale of two cities is about to end on the first city out here. So 6.5 miles, we are going to loop back around. This is often where athletes start to experience the major elemental effects out here. By this point, everybody's been spaced out enough for you to run kind of your own race and your own stride. You're not dodging people, dodging in and out. You're running your race for sure at this point of the race. But what will also poke its head is the elemental aspect of this race, which can be very, very daunting. There's been some years where the wind affects it up to 20 seconds per mile and push athletes a little slower depending on the wind direction. So you're going to have to experience it in both ways. It's probably going to be a crosswind of some sort, and again, there's a great little visual of the person right here running right there. You can see the wind whipping from side to side right there, even though it is fast, but it is there. And so you're going to have to experience it both ways. So see what it's doing on race day. In a dream scenario, the wind will be pushing this way. That will be pushing you home. A lot of athletes will disagree, but that will help aid you on your way back in. All right. The other thing that you're going to have to kind of come to grips with, come to terms with, is as you progress and you make your way back to that start slash finish line right here, the crowds are going to get less and less. You know, when you're up over here, you can kind of get away with it because there's still a ton of people around you. You're still up in that adrenaline, that early initial spike right there. And then when you come back off of that initial adrenaline, you're slowly going to hit the main little hub, the main drag where athletes and people are going to be scattered all around. It's going to be a great vibe, usually one of the best in the biz. And then as you continue further on, all of that slowly disappears, and it's really only going to be you guys out there, right? Yeah, there will be little pockets of cheering here and there, but for the most part, you're on your own back here. So this is another little hurdle that isn't always apparent for a lot of people. You're going to have to navigate that. So stay mentally strong back through here. Didn't mention it earlier, but this is a course where you can definitely wear those super shoes, and you don't really have to watch out. Biggest thing you're going to have to watch out for, like divots in the road, little craters, little potholes, things like that, little cracks. That's the biggest kind of worry that you're going to have to experience for most of the race out here. Other areas are at the first couple of miles where you're going in and out of people. Watch out for those high stack shoes. Rolled ankles usually happen in a couple of those two places. But as you get down here, right, this is where the race is really won. So you are going to be able to really focus on you and your stride. And athletes who kind of turn their brains off and just mono pace it for the whole race are going to really struggle when you make this right hand turn and you start running back through these little neighborhood and little areas right through here. This is just, it's just icing on the cake, and it's, you're starting to hit turns, you're starting to have to maintain your pace through little curves. You've already hit a turnaround in there, so your quads are going to get loaded up. So it's just a too much for a lot of athletes who are just running mono paces. In bike racing, we always talk about kind of changing that variance, changing that resistance. You're going to kind of have to do the same thing on the run to a certain extent out here. If you find yourself just holding one pace, it's going to be very, very tough for you to maintain that for the duration of the race here. Specifically because I don't really care what the weather plan says. For the last mile, you are going to have a headwind or a cross headwind, and it's going to be a battle out there. All right. So again, that's another not uncommon thing to have happen on this course is for the wind to play major hindrance for you. So the real way that this race is won is you don't fly out for these first 6 miles. Yeah, you're trying to set your PR pace 100%, right? But you don't have to do that in the first 6 miles. What you really would like to do, and I say this in a lot of my videos, but this course is very, very true. You kind of want to underpace these first couple of miles. You want to leave a little bit in the tank. If it feels like you're kind of throwing away your goal right here, like right on the edge, then that's kind of the perfect pace. If you have your goal pace, that's probably like 5 seconds per mile slower here, and then you can once you hit this section out here and you know what the weather is doing, then you can ramp back up to your goal pace because once you get back here, you have plenty of opportunity to maintain and just constantly catch that time and pass that time and push on and on and on and on and on. Another popular strategy is going to do the exact opposite of what I did, is to just set that pace high and hold as long as possible. I would only recommend that for really strong runners or athletes who have done this a couple of times. First timers, probably not a great strategy for you. You're probably going to want to do strategy number one. All right. Um, and that's our Shamrock, not half, that's our Shamrock Marathon, believe it or not. Love this race. This is one of my favorites. The atmosphere is always one of the best. I'm jealous for everyone attending this year. Make sure you stop by the old Neptune statue and give it a high five for me. One of the best places in the world, Virginia Beach. Good luck to everybody racing this year.